This is the Weather Extreme video for Tuesday morning, the 28th of February. James Spann getting set for a very active week with multiple rounds of thunderstorms and certainly at least one or two chances of severe weather along the way. So let's get in there and dig deep and drill and talk about it. First off, don't forget we're coming to Cullman tonight. No severe weather problems tonight, so we will be there at the Cullman Civic Center. We start that show at 6:30. Of course, the highlight will be looking back at the historic tornado outbreak last year on April 27th. And one of the stories does revolve around Cullman, so we hope to see you there. It's going to be a very interesting show to do. We expect a lot of people there, so get there early to get a good seat. We'll check some of the Skycam shots around the network at the insane hour of 5 a.m. Look at downtown Jasper. Things are quiet there. There's a look at the campus of the University of Montevallo in Shelby County. And we'll go way down south. That's the Atmore Skycam near the Florida line down in Escambia County. And a little foggy down there as that rich moisture is moving north. And off to the west, a big trough. And that will be producing some severe weather issues later today for areas west of the state. And just maybe some issues here by tomorrow evening. Temperatures, pretty big range around the nation. We've got 60s on the Gulf Coast and readings are below zero on the Canadian border, which often happens in the late part of winter. And man, what a mess. There's a lot happening here. Look at the blizzard warning up north for parts of the Dakotas and Minnesota, surrounding that a winter storm warning for much of the upper plains and parts of the Great Lakes region, and some dense fog issues to the east and south, and high wind issues for parts of the panhandles of Texas and Oklahoma. Hey, March must be getting close when you see maps like that. Convective outlook, this is for the rest of today and tonight. The standard slight risk for a pretty good chunk of Arkansas and some of the adjacent states, and a smaller risk farther north around Omaha for the possibility of hailers up there. The enhanced 30% chance today is over a pretty good chunk of north and central Arkansas. And there could be some tornadoes involved in that region today, so we'll keep an eye on that. But again, we don't expect any severe weather problems here. However, tomorrow, we've got the standard slight risk over about the northern half of Alabama. Demopolis, Montgomery, Auburn, and points north. And within that, we now have the enhanced probabilities from Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, and Anniston north. And what that means, there's a 30% chance of severe weather within 25 miles of a given point. And the better chance tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, and again, we'll get very specific in just a moment on that threat. Rain for the next 5 days. Numbers are coming up. This is suggesting rain amounts of 2 inches around here between now and Saturday evening, and I do believe that is correct. And I'm not so sure we're going to be that dry on Thursday either, as you'll see. All right, first off, the upper look. We'll start with the charts here at 500 millibars. This is valid at noon today off the 06Z run of the GFS, the Global Forecast System. 588 ridge over the Gulf. Big trough coming out of the west. And then tomorrow, the trough lifts pretty far north of us. And again, that perhaps should help maybe with the tornado threat, as you'll see. Let's take a look at the RPM first, if you got something planned outdoors. And, you know, the RPM did very well in that event last week, you know, where the cap held all night. It nailed it. So let's see how this one works. This is today at noon. Doesn't show a lot. Today kind of cloudy-ish. The chance of a few showers, nothing severe, nothing widespread. But having said that, look at the radar this morning. That's what the radar looks like at 5 o'clock. And we've actually got some thunderstorms down in central Alabama, down around Dixon's Mills and Nanophilia and Marengo County, and also south of Selma in Dallas County. So, you know, clearly a chance of showers today, maybe some thunder, but not a washout. All right, this is noon tomorrow. We soar into the mid-70s. It'll be very mild and breezy. And again, during the day, we might not see a whole lot going on, but certainly a chance of showers and storms. This is 6 o'clock tomorrow evening. Radar should be a bit more active, and this is when we might see a few strong to severe storms. This is midnight tomorrow night. That front is beginning to stall near Interstate 20 with a chance of showers and storms. And look at this. This is Thursday morning at 6 o'clock. It's still got a band of showers and storms just below Interstate 20. And I think I don't think the front gets to Montgomery. I think it stops maybe closer to Birmingham or Cullman. And then at noon on Thursday, there's still some chance of showers, mainly over the southern half of the state, but I sure can't rule out the chance of any up this way. So that's the chronological sequence of events between now and midday Thursday. Now let's look at the severe weather threat. We'll kind of focus on 6 p.m. tomorrow, 6 o'clock tomorrow evening. First off, this is surface-based CAPE, convective available potential energy. This is the buoyancy of the air, the ability of air parcels to rise freely. And the numbers are pretty high. The instability values are about 1,000 joules here. And for a late February event, that's pretty unstable. But if there's any good news here, the shear values are not overwhelming. This is the 0 to 3 kilometer storm relative helicity, veering of the wind with height. And there's just not a lot in relation to storm motion. And so, again, accordingly, we think the main threat would be from strong straight line winds. In fact, let me show you the surface look here. This is what the surface chart looks like at 6 o'clock tomorrow evening. The surface low is 1,000 millibars around Lake Michigan with a trailing front. So with the surface low so far north and marginal helicity values, I'd say the tornado threat is marginal. Could there be a tornado? Yes. But we think the main threat would be from strong straight line winds and hail. In fact, there's the STP, the significant tornado parameter. It does exceed 1 in spots, but that's not overwhelming. And the EHI, this is the Energy Helicity Index. Numbers are high, really all the way from here up into Ohio. But it's a case where the better, dynamics are north of here. We've got the good instability. So, yes, certainly a chance of severe weather tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow night. The main threat would be from strong straight line winds. An isolated tornado not out of the question. All right, let's look at Thursday. Yeah, that front hangs up around Coleman on this run, and I think that's right. So, initially we thought Thursday could be a dry day. I'm not convinced of that. Probably cloudyish, very mild, and a chance of showers, maybe some thunder. And very warm. The GFS is showing 78. Somebody might touch 80 on Thursday. So the air stays unstable. That's the reason I'm thinking there could be some thunder. Now, Friday, here comes the next trough from the west. Down below that, Friday at midday, a 1,000 millibar low near St. Louis with clearly Alabama in the warm sector on Friday. So, again, we'll be well up in the 70s, breezy, a chance of showers and storms. We'll go to midnight Friday night. The surface low really deepens down to 980 millibars up there around Traverse City, Michigan with a trailing front. And, again, that would suggest potential for severe weather. This is the instability Friday evening at midnight, and this is off the GFS, and that's not very impressive, but I clearly think that is underdone. I do think the severe weather parameters will be greater for this event as compared to the Wednesday night event, but it's just too early to be specific. Everybody wants to know, what's the deal? There's no point really going there. I think at this point you have to consider all modes of severe weather will be possible, but we've got to get the event tomorrow night out of here before we can focus on that. That's the logical way of doing things. But certainly a chance of severe weather Friday afternoon, Friday night. Now, this is Saturday at midday. All of a sudden the GFS is faster. It's waffling on the time. But, it could be the greatest severe weather threat could come Friday night, maybe into the pre-dawn hours Saturday. Well, again, we'll get that timing adjusted later, but at the moment, I'd say any time from really 3 o'clock Friday afternoon until 6 o'clock Saturday morning, we could see severe weather. And that would suggest the day Saturday would feature a clearing sky. It would be cooler with a high back in the low 60s. And then Sunday would be bright and sunny. We'll start the day in the upper 30s with a high in the 60s. Monday of next week, dry, seasonal temperatures. And Tuesday of next week, a week from today, looks dry. That's March 6th. We'll check the end of the forecast, March 14th. That's a cold look way up north, but not down here. Just, again, no sign of any cold air getting in here of any really significance for the next 15 days. And, boy, the window is beginning to narrow for winter weather mischief. Now, we can have some into early April, but it is getting late in the season here. That's it for the Weather Xtreme video this morning. We'll have notes on the blog. Next video here, I don't know if I can produce one today. We're going to try and do that. We have a travel schedule because of the Coleman storm show, but if we can, we'll crank one out this afternoon. One way or the other, we'll have a full discussion over on the blog. And if you're local to us, we invite you to watch us on television this evening, ABC 3340 in Birmingham at 4, 5, 6, and 10. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, and God bless.
The first thing you've got to understand, you cannot rely on an outdoor siren. You cannot hear those inside a home, a building, a church. It won't work. You've got to get something inside your house. That's a weather radio or maybe a smartphone app. We work with a company that's developed a wonderful weather radio app for Android phones and iPhones. It knows where you are, and if you're in a tornado warning polygon, you get the warning. And if you're not, you don't. It's an effective device, and it's a great way to be sure you get the warning.